What is up, YouTube? Just wanted to bring you a quick and dirty oil change on my 350 EXC. This should apply to all models 2012 through 2016, so stay tuned. All right, so the boring stuff. First things first, you're gonna need a 13 millimeter, an 8 millimeter, a fresh oil filter. I like to use OEM, and a couple quarts of your favorite oil. Next is removing the skid plate. Fortunately, KTM makes this really easy for us. They just have this little pin. You turn it, and it drops. Back of the frame, the skid plate just unhooks, usually. There we go. You see where it locked around the tube. So here on the left side of the bike, when you're sitting on it, this is your drain plug right here, and this is your oil filter screen. All right, this is where it can get a little bit tricky, and you don't want to drop your oil plug into the oil. So as you're backing it out, put a little bit of pressure on it towards the engine. And you'll see what I mean here in just a second. So the plug is completely unthreaded. So I have it in my hand still. Careful if your oil is really, really hot. So clean any metal shavings from your magnetic drain plug and set it off to the side. So the next tip is a little one from one of my viewers named Aris Torm. Hope I didn't butcher your name. But anyway, he says put a little aluminum foil on the side. That way, when the oil drains out, it just drains across the aluminum foil and doesn't go all over your bike. Seems like a good enough tip for me. All right, so it might be helpful to have a little pair of pliers. Reach in there and grab the screen. Screen looks good. I don't really see much debris on it, but just clean it with some contact cleaner before you put it back in. Next up is oil filter. It's located right here. It's got two little 8 millimeter bolts. Once again, take care not to drop those into your oil pan. If these covers have been on there a long time, sometimes they need a little tap with a little piece of wood or a dead blow to kind of break the seal. This one was just changed 2 weeks ago, so it'll pop right off. And I'm gonna go ahead and say the aluminum foil tip from Ars is a pretty good tip. It's draining right down the foil and not on my frame. Get the oil filter out, you can either use a little pick, or you can use a little piece of safety wire fashioned like a hook, or you can use a pair of pliers. Trying to do this one-handed. You can just open them up and pull it out like that. Filter actually looks really good. The oil coming out of the inside of it is clean. But this oil was pretty dirty. It had a decent amount of clutch plate in it. Riding at altitude, I was banging the clutch quite a bit, so it's time to check. Brand new KTM OEM filter. And some people probably think I'm crazy not pre-oiling these, but there's enough engine oil in there all over the parts. I just warmed the thing up that it'll have time to pump it in there. Just don't rev the engine up once you restart it. We'll stuff that back in. Lock it in, reinstall the cover, tighten up the 8 millimeter bolts good and tight. Make sure not to over torque them and strip them out, because that's a pain in the ass and then you got to deal with that, so just don't do it. Next, reinstall the oil filter screen. They are universal in their direction as far as I can tell. I'm gonna reach my finger in there and see if I can find any clutch plate or anything. No, looks good, nice and clean. Just snug it up. These things have a tendency to tighten themselves. Next is your clean, threaded, debris-free oil plug. These actually are easy to put back on with an end wrench. The sockets don't really fit inside there very well unless you have a wobbly. Alright, everything's torqued up. Drain plug, oil screen, oil filter cover. Okay, now reinstall the skid plate. So all you have to do, try to do this one-handed, is hook that little curve onto the frame. Like that. Line it up with the frame itself. Line up the hole in the front. Turn the pin. It's locked on. Not going anywhere. Well, get you guys a nice clean funnel. This happens to be called an MSR clean funnel. And your favorite motor oil. Some of you are going to freak out because I usually use the Motor X stuff, but I'm going to start using this Honda stuff. It's 10 bucks a quart. I change my oil a lot. It'll save me a little bit of money, and I've had pretty good success with this stuff in the past. I think Honda has a pretty good reputation for reliability, so I'm not really too worried about it. It's motorcycle grade oil, SJ, and just make sure that you put in 1.27 quarts. Alright guys, when you start it back up, make sure that you let it idle for just a little bit so that it can circulate that new oil into the new oil filter. And don't be revving it up too much because you got to make sure it's pumping through first. Alright guys, there you go. 350 EXC oil change. It's about as easy as it gets for working on a dirt bike. So anyway, I don't know how many people this will help, but I figured I'd upload it. So anyway, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you want. See you in the next video.